The second F8 decides to follow. The third F8 decides to follow as lorry, truck, coming the other way. I literally was like, I'm about to witness 10 people die. I honestly don't know where to start with the Mille Miglia, because if you've never heard of it or never witnessed it, it is nearly impossible to describe. It was a fully legitimate road race. I actually don't know when it started, but up until the sort of, I think, late 50s, maybe the early 60s. And it is 1,000 miles around Italy. It was run in period and today on open public roads. I think today certain stages are closed, but I mean, those are like the slow stages. Most of the route, open public roads. And of course, most famously, won by Sterling Moss in the Mercedes, where he, I think, was 10 hours for the 1,000 miles, so averaging just over 100 miles an hour for the route. When you actually participate in the Mille Miglia and then think about that, it is really mind-blowing. This is an event that could only ever happen in Italy. The whole country, or at least in that region, turns out for the event. You have families, communities, schools bringing out chairs, having parties to watch the cars roll through. But it is so unbelievably dangerous. How it happens blows my mind. All road rules go out the window. Red lights do not apply if you're on the Mille Miglia. Stop signs do not apply on the Mille Miglia. Roundabouts do not apply on the Mille Miglia. You are just full send for what is 4 or 5 days through Italy. Now, I participated in something called the Ferrari Tribute, which essentially runs just in front of the historic Mille Miglia event. That, your cars, I think, can only go up to a certain period of time, mid-50s, early 60s. It's a regulation rally, like many other regulation classic car rallies that happen around the world. But the Ferrari Tribute happens just in front. And again, you basically qualify by owning a Ferrari, submitting it, and then they choose who gets entered. I was in one of the oldest cars actually participating in my 360 Modena. I think prior to me, maybe there was only like a 348 or a 308 and I think an F40 the year that I ran it, but most of the other cars are way more modern. We had a whole load of F8 Tributos, SF90s, 812 Superfast. It's really a lot of modern cars. And essentially, each day you have a number of stages, let's say 8 to 10 sort of regulated or time stages, where it's all about driving between points at a certain speed. And it's very low speed. You all have to calculate this. It's like, okay, you've got 200 feet to get, in 18 seconds. Then the next one is you got to go 500 feet in 10 seconds. So you have to modulate your speed and you have to calculate it. You need a co-driver. And that is where the competition is won. But these stages are maybe 30, 50, 100 miles apart. And to cover that distance and do the regulation stage, you have to get a lick on. And because of the vibe of Mille Miglia, people do get a move on. And so literally from the start of the event to the end, it is essentially flat out around Italy 4 or 5 days, only taking a break for these stages, which are like super intense and super competitive. Now, I decided to do it with my business partner, my podcast co-host, fellow car enthusiast, a man called Tony. He is a used car dealer, but that's underselling him, from Kent in the UK. A true Cockney. He was a bus driver, a car washer, many other things before he is what he is today. And he's super successful and he's made a great name for himself, but is still very much Tony the bus driver. And a few weeks before the event, I said to him, mate, they need your driving license so that you can be my co-driver. Yeah, there you go, mate. So I sent it off. Email comes back. Oh, that license has expired. So I check. I went, Tony, your license has expired. Oh, has it? I haven't checked. It's like, okay, well, can you renew it? Does the email. It takes a month to renew. Turns out Tony won't be driving. I'll be doing all the driving. He'll be co-driving. Tony is dyslexic, dyspraxic, and is thick in the most lovely and charming and adorable way. And he's one of my best friends, so I can say that in jest. So I think, well, this is going to be a disaster. We are handed the guidebook for the Mille Miglia, which is like your route book, where to turn, how to do the competition stages the day before. And I give it to him. I said, there you go, mate. Start figuring out what we need to do. We get in the car. We're at the start line. Hey, and now from the United Kingdom, Sam Fane and Tony Dennard. Oh, I'm tooting the horn. I drive off. I'm giving it all the revs, waving. We get to the end of the road. I go, cool, mate, left or right? He goes, I don't know. So, what do you mean, like, left or right? He goes, I don't know. Like, check the route route book. So he's like, how do you read this thing if you've never seen a regulation rally route book or a tour book? Like, it's insanely complicated with signs and measurements. And so literally I'm like, where have the Ferraris gone? So we spent pretty much the whole first day blindly driving around this route, getting to competition stages, not understanding how they worked, completely messing it up, falling out in the most aggressive way, but then also becoming best friends again, and making it to our hotel about 11 p.m. at night, just kind of furious and exhausted, to find out the next morning you're up at 4 a.m. to start all over again. It's one of those experiences that I'm not sure I would ever do again, but it's one of the greatest things I've ever done in my entire life. It has to be witnessed. I recommend everyone to go and view it, participate, do whatever they can to experience it, because I'm not sure how much longer it will be allowed to happen. It feels inherently so dangerous and so mad. And the hardest part about it is leaving, because on the drive home, you have to remember red lights mean something, because for the entire week you're taking part, they don't. You get to a traffic light, you're like, okay, go on, I'm on the Mille Miglia. Sorry, coming through, I'm on the Mille Miglia. So that is definitely one of the hardest parts, but yeah, truly unique experience. It was one of the highlights that I did with my 360 Modena during my ownership with it. Car was fantastic, competed so well. I think we placed like 48th or something like that. We didn't do good because we spent the first 2 days having no clue. It didn't matter. Yeah, a truly once-in-a-lifetime experience that I will never forget. We had one moment with the car. Tony, who hates classic cars, was convinced the whole time we were either going to break down or the brakes would stop working or we were going to go straight onto a hedge, which was the hottest day of the trip. It must have been 38, 40 degrees Celsius. We got caught in a very slow-moving traffic jam going uphill. And I was just watching the temperatures, and they just crept high enough for a sustained amount of time that I thought, I'm just going to pull over and open the engine bay, just like preemptively, just because I just don't want to be caught in this kind of moment, and I'm not competitive enough to risk the car. Otherwise, performed absolutely perfectly. No issues along the way. The scariest part about the Mille Miglia, or at least the Ferrari tribute, is the other people taking part. I don't like to judge other people's driving, but I will happily judge some of the driving that I witnessed on the Mille Miglia, because it was reckless. The story that I've often told is one prime example. Well, I think maybe the event, the occasion, the desire to prove that you are the fastest and best and maybe richest driver on the Ferrari tribute takes over somebody's mentality. We were going around a quite wide road, probably what Americans would call a standard road. It felt huge to us as Europeans. And there was a lorry, a passenger car, and then I think we had maybe an F8 Tributo in front of us, and then here we are on the Modena. So the F8 Tributo starts to pull out to overtake, but there's a right-hand turn, so a sort of blind right-hand bend. So he's sort of gingerly looking. Then from behind us, another F8 pulls up alongside, so overtakes us, pulls up on the flank of the F8 as well. I'm like, well, what's he going to do? Is he waiting to follow the other car? I'm not sure. And then an SF90 just comes round the outside of all of the cars on a blind bend. The second F8 decides to follow. The third F8 decides to follow as lorry, truck, coming the other way. I literally was like, I'm about to witness 10 people die and have a huge implosion explosion. I still to this day don't understand how or what, how that, like, they escaped somehow. But that was the theme for most of the time, which was this kind of, because there felt like there was no rules, because it felt like it was Italy, and because people were like, I'm amazing at driving because I'm 25 and I have an SF90. Reckless beyond needing to be reckless. You know, we're all in a hurry, we're all having fun, it's the exhilaration, the adrenaline. But just stupid stuff that wound me up. And I think those of us that do these events regularly or wanted to just have a good time and survive were a little bit annoyed by that. And that's what would stop me going back, if I'm really honest. I didn't see that from the regulation, the classic rally, but I think the Ferrari rally, and look, I'm a Ferrari purist, I'm not going to say it, but some of us Ferrari owners can be douchebags at the best of times. And there was a group of those guys in and around that tour, unfortunately.
If you get a ticket, the first thing you should do is text a picture of it to 305-305. That will get the ticket clinic on your case immediately. You'll be facing costly fines, risks of suspension, possible jail time, points on your license, higher insurance premiums, and a lot of bad things that they can help you to avoid. You can also find them at the link in the description below, but the Ticket Clinic is a nationwide law firm with brick and mortar offices in Georgia, Florida, and California, but they've got attorneys everywhere, and that's what's most important, because a local attorney will know exactly how the local laws work, know the people who are in charge, and get you the best outcome possible. So text a picture of your ticket to 305-305 or click the link in the description below to fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.